Hey there, my sweet little magnolias. How are y'all doing? Happy, good evening. I hope you've had a great day. I've had a very busy day today, but everything has worked out perfectly and everything is fabulous. Welcome back to the teaching from the 12 Gates of Healing, which is my book that is available on Amazon. In this paperback edition, it's an 8.5 by 11, so it's a workbook size, and the paperback edition is less than $15. The Kindle edition is less than 10, and I am working on a hardcover edition that will include a journal / workbook in the back. I'm hoping to get that done this week. And if you cannot afford, but you need this book, send me an email. The email address is right down there with your name and address, and I will mail you a free copy, because I don't want finances to be the barrier between you and the healing you desperately need. So just send me an email, give me your name and address. I will get a free copy in the mail to you ASAP. Okay? All right, so we left off on Friday with the second gate, which is the optimism gate. And the first key in that gate is learning to follow the light of hope. Yeah. I think for those of us raised in trauma, we have a hard time with hope. And then the exercise for that key was finding normalcy. Yes, it's possible. So this will be the 6th video, 5th teaching. And the second key is what we're going to tackle today. It's entitled Chaos is Not Your Home Planet. Believe me when I say that. Chaos is not where you need to be living. And when we are raised in chaotic environments, it seems like we gravitate to those types of relationships, environments, situations, because that's what's comfortable to us. And if there's not chaos going on, sometimes we will subconsciously create chaos just to keep ourselves comfortable. And we need to learn how to flip that around and make peace what is comfortable, make peace what we crave versus chaos. Chaos needs to become the abnormality instead of the normal way of living. And chaos is defined as complete disorder, complete confusion. Yeah. And it is behavior that is unpredictable. You're constantly waiting for the next shoe to drop, right? And if you were raised by parents who were not consistent in their emotions, in their moods, in their discipline, sometimes you would do something and you were abused for it, and sometimes you would do it and were ignored. If they could not regulate that, you were raised in chaos. And this was the case for me. I felt abnormal if I wasn't being used and abused, if I wasn't in a constant state of what's going to happen next, what's going to happen next, what's going to happen next. And it stuck me in fight, flight, or freeze mode, in stress mode. And that is so unhealthy. How many of you are stuck there in that mode of what's going to happen next? It's so chaotic. I don't know what's going to happen next. Because if you are, this is importante for you. I felt strange having people be nice to me or treat me with respect or tell me complimentary things because I wasn't used to it. I didn't know how to receive it. And all of my relationships, because of that, were with unhealed, very chaotic people. That's what I gravitated to. That's what I thought was my home planet. And it certainly was not. And I couldn't depend on those people. Just like I couldn't depend on my family to be there for me. Friends, lovers, family, coworkers, and even strangers who were normies, who weren't chaotic. They didn't fit into my life. And I didn't know how to relate to them because I was used to dealing with people who needed me to fix them, fix their life, fix their problems. And they were the ones who sucked all my energy, used me, abused me, treated me horribly, but still claimed to love me. That was what I was used to. And those were the people I felt most comfortable with. But that seems almost oxymoronic, right? That you gravitate towards abuse because that's what you're used to. It's ridiculous when you think about it from a logical perspective, right? We naturally desire a peaceful existence. That is at our core of our being. But for children who were raised in a traumatic, chaotic, abusive home, that just goes away. That craving for peace, that craving for joy and love. And it never really goes away, but we put it on the back burner. We come into this world looking for all of the good things. We look for peace, we look for love, we look for joy, we look for good experiences. But for those of us who were raised in an environment that lacked all of those things, our desires began to shift. And instead of craving peace and love, we learn to desire chaos and trauma because it feels like home. It's almost nostalgic, right? And that's what we want to get away from, is making that our norm, making chaos, making struggle and stress our norm. We want to get away from that, right? So that's what we're hoping to accomplish with healing, is when we are healed people, we can step back from the chaos and see it for what it is. We can see it for the unhealthy, unhelpful, even damaging thing that it is. Because stress damages our physical health, and it damages our mental health, our emotional health. Stress can cause us to do or say things that aren't good just because we're responding to the chaos in our lives, right? And you don't want to be that person anymore, do you? You would rather, wouldn't you, have peace, to have joy, to be able to breathe again? Isn't that something that you're desirous of? I know I was. I didn't know how to get it for a long fucking time. But as soon as I figured out that the way to have a peaceful life rather than a chaotic one was to heal, that's when I got really serious about healing. I think that was the thing that motivated me more than anything else, is that craving for a peaceful life. So stop for a minute and think about that. Is this something you really want? Because if it is, you need to be willing to do the work to get there. Now, we're going to get into the exercise for this key, and it's uncovering the sources of chaos in your life. So if you want to pause the video for a second and go get a notebook and a pen to take notes, we're not going to go through the exercise together as far as you doing the exercises, but I'm going to go through each one of them and explain them better so that you have a greater understanding when you go through and do it yourself. Okay? So go get that paper and pen, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, we're going to go step by step together through each of the points of the exercise. It's the second exercise in the second gate, called Uncovering the Source of the Chaos. Woohoo! So when you go to do the exercise, you're going to need a notebook or journal, a pen, and I recommend a box of Kleenex or tissues of some sort, and find a quiet space where you're not going to be bothered. Prepare to spend time. You can't do these exercises in 5 minutes. Remember, as with every exercise, you may have to leave it and come back to it multiple times before you feel like you've gotten everything you can out of the exercise. Just like with every exercise, you're going to connect with your spirit team and ground yourself. If you don't know how to do that, there is an index at the back of the book that will explain that to you. But basically, it's meditation. And then after that, take 3 deep cleansing breaths. You always go in through your nose and out through your mouth. Do that 3 times. That helps calm you and get you in a place emotionally, mentally, and spiritually where you can really focus on the questions. Okay? Now, this begins with making lists. I'm a list girl. You'll see that throughout the book. So ask yourself, how was my home life chaotic? Did you raise yourself? Were you made to be the adult and kind of parent your parents or your siblings? Were you subjected to people with mood swings, violent or otherwise? Were you abused in any other way? Verbally, physically, mental abuse, sexual abuse? That creates chaos. And were there addicts in your home? The people responsible for raising you, were they addicts? Alcohol, drugs, doesn't matter. Food, gambling, doesn't matter. Those actions created chaos in your home. So the point of this step is to figure out what the source of your chaos is. Okay? And like I said, it may take a little bit of time for you to go through that and really look at it and see the areas in which your life was made chaotic. And then you're going to list out ways that you have gravitated to this type of behavior in your adult relationships and situations. Do you naturally choose friends, lovers who are unpredictable? Because that unpredictability, that's chaos. Yeah, I was always drawn to people like that. I think it's because at first they were a lot of fun because you never knew what they were going to do or say or whatever. Do you yourself act in unpredictable ways? Yeah, that's a telltale sign that you were raised in chaos. Are you drawn to people who are addicts? Do you think you need to fix them? Because I'm sure if your parents or any significant adults in your life were addicts, you were made to believe that it was your job to fix them and take care of them. And then you need to ask yourself the hard question. Are you an addict? Are you addicted to anything? This is not an easy exercise, and there's a lot of hard questions. But ask yourself, and you need to answer honestly always when you're talking to yourself, do you believe that you are addicted to a chaotic life? Yeah. So that is this exercise. After you're finished, you need to get out your sage, Palo Santo, your incense, selenite crystals, and clear your energy. And again, if you don't understand how to do that or why we do that, that's in the back of the book. But I'll tell you why. When you're finished with these types of exercises, it brings up a lot of emotions. And If you're going to bed, like if you do this right before you go to bed, you don't want to carry that into your sleep. And you definitely don't want to carry it back into your family or whoever you are interacting with. So you need to clear that energy and reset before you go interact with other people. And then recognize, after you do the exercise, go back and read it. And like I said, you may have to leave it and come back to it multiple times. Remember, clear your energy every time you leave it. You don't want to carry that stuff around with you. But after you've finished, you should have a much better understanding of why you do the things you do, where the root of all of that is. Remember, we talked about roots in the first gate, and we have to know where they are and what they are before we can pull them out and plant new healthy trees, right? So if you choose the people you choose out of habit, then you need to break that habit. It's something that you're used to and you need to break it. And it's hard to do because it's often comfortable, it's often nostalgic, and it's hard to walk away from things like that. Change is not easy, y'all, because we like our comfort. We like what we're used to, right? And don't beat yourself up about it either. You don't need to be your own bully. It's not your fault. And you didn't cause the original chaos that you have become accustomed to. You didn't do it. Even if you're addicted to it, you didn't realize that you were. And as you continue this journey, you will learn how to break the addiction to chaos. So don't feel hopeless. Remember, this is the optimism gate, the gate of hope. You are recognizing patterns. Before you can ever do anything about them, you have to recognize that they exist. And patterns of self-destructive behavior and addictions and the reasons why you do what you do, you have to recognize all of that and identify all of that before you can ever begin to work on fixing it. Okay? So that completes the second key, second exercise of the second gate. 2, 2, 2. And as we're moving along, be sure to email me if you have any questions or if you want clarification on anything. That's what I'm here for. When you buy the book, you don't just buy the book. You're not on your own. I am here for you, okay? And you can email me, and I will get the email and read it and ask my spirit team to help me answer your questions, okay? It's a difficult journey, but it is so worth it, my sweet little magnolias. So stay the course. Tomorrow we're going to look at step 3 and do the third exercise, and then we'll do our check-in, and we'll get our tools from this gate, and then we'll move on. So stay tuned for that, and I will see y'all next time. Love ya. Bye.